أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل عليه وعلى أصحابه وآله وأزواجه وذريته ومن تبعه بإحسان. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم اغفر لي ذنبي واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Brothers, we are at a time in the year that has the best days we can imagine in any year. Usually people will be very eager in Ramadan, especially the first few days in Ramadan. Everybody's fired up. I'm ready. I'm going to do the Quran times this month. Of course, the first few days, then it slows down. And they're so eager to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They put so much energy into it. Just like somebody who's running a race and he puts all this energy in the beginning, where you're supposed to be steady. And being steady is what the Rasulullah ﷺ has advised us. And he advised us by saying, قَلِيلٌ دَائِمٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن كَثِيرٍ مُنْقَطَعٍ. Something that is little but steady is better than a lot and then you get cut off. In another hadith, he says, إِنَّ الْمُنْبَتَّ لَا أَرْضًا قَطَعْ وَلَا ظَهْرًا أَبْقَى. If you go on a trip and you're going from one place to the other and you have a camel or a horse with you and you come on top of that animal and you run with it, it's going to be a very short run. You know, in the movies they always show the horses running all the time. Horses don't run. They only run for a short distance. Just like the race. They only run for the short distance. If you're going and traveling, the horse is walking, the camel is walking. And you can't ride that animal all the time because you're going to kill it. So the Rasulullah says, whoever is hasting in his travels and he wants to do it, right away, he will not keep an animal. He will kill anything that comes with him. And he will never go the distance. If you are in a haste, if you are in a rush, you cannot do it. You should plan for everything. You do plan for your life. You plan for your work. You plan for your studies. You never start the year by studying all your books and then get so tired that you would not touch them again. And that's what schools do. They take chapters and they just go, one at a time in a very intelligent pace. You have to be intelligent about it. You have to be smart about it. So when you go into the years you will understand which days we should strive and which days we should mellow down a little bit. We all know the 10 nights of Ramadan. The last 10 nights of Ramadan, Rasulullah puts all his energy into prayer, into qiyam, into giving, and reading Quran. But what people sometimes miss is those nights are the best nights of the year, but they are not the best days of the year. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described that those are the best 10 nights of the year. But He also described that the best 10 days of the year is the 10 of the Hijjah. 10 of the Hijjah days are the best of the whole year. And you should utilize them just like you are doing the nights of Ramadan. Imagine what you do of qiyam and salah and dua in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. It's supposed to be the same in the days of the Hijjah. Of course, we're talking about, we say 10, but we're actually saying 9. Because the last day, the 10th day, is the day of Eid. So the first 9 is where you are supposed to put all that energy into it. So always the question arises, well, what do I do? Do I just shut off from the whole world and just go into the Masjid and just do i'tikaf and stay there? No, that was never described by the Prophet. Because the Prophet was talking to the Sahaba. And he said, the best 10 days are the days of the Hajj. And whoever is working on himself on those days, it's the best thing you could do. So the Sahaba always try to balance things out and see what is good, what is better, what is the best. They always want to know the ranking of things. So they understand the best thing you could do in your life is to give your life away. Because the higher the price, the better the reward. So he says the best 10 days of the year is the days of the Hajj, and no deed is better than that. So they asked him, what is jihad fi sabilillah? Not even striving in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I mean, what could be better price than your life? This is the highest thing of ever. And he says, وَلَا الْجِهَادُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Not even that. And he ponders a second and he says, إِلَّا رَجُلٌ. Unless there's a man who goes out with all what he owns and he brings his soul to the table and he returns with nothing. So he loses all his money in fi sabilillah and all of his life in fi sabilillah. That's the only thing that equals those 10 days. Imagine what you are doing in ibadah right now in the last 10 days of the Hajj is equal to a man who takes all of what he owns and his soul and he gives it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now we have kind of quantitative measurement of what these days mean. So a question comes in, what do I do in these 10 days? What is that super dua that we have? What is that super deed that we're doing? And the Prophet ﷺ describes it in a very simple manner. All you need to do is dhikrullah, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remembering Allah, what does that mean? Why is it so important mentioning the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or saying this or saying that? Sayyidina Ibrahim makes a summary for what Islam is. Because he's the first Muslim. So he comes and says, Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. Very simple. 5 words summarizes the whole thing. My prayer is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My life is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My death. So if you dissect each one of those, my prayer is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course my prayer is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not worshipping an idol. Think about it. When you go into salah, are you focused with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or are you focused with that car that you were getting, or that school that you're doing, or that work that was not done, or this or that? When he says my prayer is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means what? When I'm in prayer, I'm in prayer. Nothing else is with me. He even loses his hearing and losing his sight. Well, that's not possible. How do you lose your hearing or sight? Well, let me give you an example. Have you played an intensive game on the computer? When you do that, do you hear anything? Do you hear your mother? Do you hear your dad? Do you see anything else? No. Because you're so into it. And that's what Sayyidina Ibrahim was talking about his prayer. Oh, I'm so into it, I don't hear anything else. There was an Arab who was very famous. His name is Qais. And he loved a lady. Her name is Layla. And they got so famous because he made so much poetry and so much things about her. And he was so into her, he doesn't care about the world. So one day, he was walking, and he saw the dog of her family. So, okay, if that's their dog, it means it has to go to the family. I'm going to follow him. So he'll lead me to them. So he kept following him. And people were praying Asr. And he just passed by. And when he came back, they told him, you were running after the dog and you didn't pray with us. It's Asr. You saw me? They said, yeah, of course we saw you. That's by us. He said, I swear to God, I didn't see you. I was so focused here, I didn't see you. And if you were focused in your prayer, you shouldn't have seen me. He gave them the advice. Because if you are into your prayer, you're focused there. This is the important thing. Like tunnel hearing, tunnel vision, I'm all here. Inna salati wa nusuki. Whatever I do, Hajj, Umrah, throwing the stones, everything is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm focused about it. I understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it. Why am I fasting? Why am I waking up at night and praying? Why am I waking in the Fajr and praying? I have to understand it, not just do it like an animal. And my life and my death is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does it mean to have a life for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That means every step I take, I'm thinking before I put it. Sahaba says, if I want to put my shoes on, or my sandals on, I will have to make niyyah for it. You don't need that. It's not required. For them it is. Because if I'm putting my sandals on, what am I doing? Is something to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yes, it's for me to go study and become a better Muslim. Okay, then do it. I'm putting my slippers on to go to work so I can feed my family. Excellent. Go ahead and do it. So every step I take is something I question. Is this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So my whole day becomes ibadah. So we go back to this point of dhikrullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why is dhikrullah so important? Because it reminds you, this life is for Allah. Whatever I am doing, even if I'm having fun, if I'm playing this game, I am doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To relieve myself, to be happy, and then go and do my work. Everything is a plan for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not just leave us open for these 10 days. He came and he says, I will give you the best dhikr that you could use. And Rasulullah ﷺ is not the type like our imams these days. When they come and make dua, they give you a 45-minute dua. You don't know what the beginning is or the end is. You just get lost. His dua is always very short, very sweet. And you don't have to be, a language, thing to say. No, usually it's a one-liner. When Sayyidatna Aisha, al-Mu'minin, the mother of all the believers, came to him and she said, I might find Laylatul Qadr. What do I say? And he said, Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. You're all forgiving. Please forgive us. That's it. And he's giving this to his wife, his dearest wife. Something simple. You don't have to be all fancy with dua and all that. All you have to say all night is that. And that is enough. So the same thing when it comes to the 10 days of the Hajj. He comes and he gives a prescription. You can say any dhikr you want. La ilaha illallah, one of the best things. Alhamdulillah, subhanallah, whatever you know. That's good enough. But be occupied by it. If you're walking, if you're driving, if you're working, if you're studying, keep it on your tongue. Because whenever you mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions you. Imagine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying my name. When you're on TV and a celebrity comes in and says your name, oh, I thank so and so and so. Oh, you're so proud. That celebrity mentioned my name. Even once. But if you mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions you every time you mention Him. And the best thing, He mentions you in a place better than your place. And to an audience better than your audience. An audience that appreciates. Angels, they appreciate the name. Because they will take it and they will pray for you because you mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you sit down and you imagine what you are doing, it brings it to a different level. So Rasulullah gives us the prescription for the 10 days of the Hajj. And he says, أفضل الذكر, the best dhikr you can mention, that was prescribed to me and prescribed to all the prophets behind me. Imagine all the prophets had that dhikr. So imagine you're saying what Musa, what Isa, what Ibrahim, what Nuh was saying. Peace be upon them all. And he says, the dhikr is لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. Most of us know this. If we don't know it, it's just few words we can memorize. And that by itself is good enough. Rasulullah ﷺ used that dhikr outside 10 al-Hijjah. And he does it every day, 10 times. In Fajr, 10 times in the evening with Maghrib. That dhikr never left the Prophet. And he described outside of the Hijjah what is the value for this. He said, if you say it 10 times, it is like you are freeing 100 slaves. Imagine going with gold, buying slaves, and then freeing them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only that, those slaves are from the son of Ismail, the Prophet. And that's just 10 that he does in the Maghrib and in the Fajr. So that dhikr, لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. What does it mean? There is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worthy of worship. لا شريك له, He has no partners. له الملك, He owns everything. So whatever hardship is in my life, it doesn't matter. Allah owns it all. Whatever happens to me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described it. It's fine. Because He has described it, He will take me through it. لَهُ الْمُلْكُ وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ. He owns everything, and all praises go to Him. Yes, I might thank you for helping me, but it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has provided you for me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided my work to me. He provided my family to me. So whatever happens, it's up to Him. Because He who provides will provide again. لَهُ الْمُلْكُ وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. And He can do anything. Whatever you could imagine, some hardship that you go through, oh, this is unsolvable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will solve it. Just be with Him. Because a scholar was sitting and somebody came and he said, fate is throwing us by arrows. What do we do? Problems, calamities, they come from all sides, like arrows. What do we do? So the scholar told him, simple. Stand by whom the arrows come from. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created qadr. Everything comes from Him. If you stand next to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll be fine. He'll take care of you. So these 10 days are so important. But to summarize all that, Rasulullah says, but the best of them all is Yawm Arafah, the 9th day of all these days. This is like the jewel of the crown. This is the end of it. This is what makes it best. If you have failed in these 8 days that you didn't do well, this is your chance. Yawm Arafah, if you just fast it, not doing anything else, just fast that day, you will erase the sins of the year before and the year coming. Just fast it. We're not mentioning any dhikr or we're doing anything. The ulama and the sahaba and the salaf al-salih used to say, if I have any dua, I really, really want it to happen, I don't mention it till the day of Arafah. I keep it for that day. Because that's when it's all are answered. Because Yawm Arafah is the day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings all the malaikah and shows them His creation, and especially in the place of Arafah. يَتَبَاهَى بِهِمْ. He shows them off to the malaikah. He's so proud of them that they came to this place. There is no such thing as race. There is no such thing as wealth. There is no such thing as where you're from or where you came from or your family, or it doesn't matter. Everybody's wearing the same thing in the same place. Everybody's equal, right there, as they should be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so proud of them. They left everything behind to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you want to be one of them? Yes. Do what the Prophet asks you to do. And you will be under that umbrella of Rasulullah. So that day is the day of dhikr, a day of fasting, a day of anything that is good. Because the Rasulullah says, Al-amalu salih. Whatever is a good deed is better than jihad, which is the what's in Islam, the best thing in Islam. Any good deed, whatever it is possible for you, giving somebody a ride, helping somebody move, helping this person, saying a word, mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in front of people who never heard about Him, reminding people who have forgotten what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. You could be sitting in a sitting, and all you have to do is say, La ilaha illallah, in a very loud voice. People around you right away, they remember. It's not something really hard. You're sitting and say, Alhamdulillah. Somebody giving you something and says, Alhamdulillah that He helped me come here. Mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very simple deeds better than the jihad في سبيل الله. أقول هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. Please ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. A Muslim is somebody who's dynamic, somebody who does not stay like a train on a track and do not look to the right or the left. There's Muslims in our world that are undergoing a lot of calamities. We see the Muslims in Palestine and in Gaza, and we see what's happening with them. And we see the people in Sudan, we see the people in China, we see the people in India, we see the people in many places. And a Muslim is a dynamic person. Wherever he's needed, he's there. If today it's a dawah time, he's there. If a day it's helping somebody, he's there. According to his powers. We don't want to be, like a homogeneous thing, one cut, one look. No. Each person whatever he can. That person is doing media, working on social media. Excellent. That person has money, he's giving away. Excellent. Whatever you have in your life, and that's what Sayyidina Ibrahim, what he says, وَمَحْيَايَ. Whatever I am living in, I'm helping for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever I can, I go into that. And I seek the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I should shun away from anybody who says thanks to me. I don't want to hear the thanks. I want to hear that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the day of judgment. I don't want, I've worked so hard, nobody says anything to me. Good. This is exactly what I want. I want all the thanks from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't want no thanks from anybody. This is what I'm looking for. Oh, it helps me out. No, it doesn't help you. Because your connections with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your connections were not with the humans. If they don't like you, if they disagree with you, so what? I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, I'm not a rude person who's just, kicking people away. No, I'm very nice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because all of it is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we made this plan, inshallah. We have these 9 days. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it's 10 days. Rasulullah says it's 10 days. What are we going to do with the 10? All these 9, we understood. Dhikr of Allah, doing good, this and that. What are we going to do with the 10? Oh, this is the day of Eid. Okay, what does it mean? Oh, day of Eid is special. Day of Eid, you get the special reward and ajr if you're happy. Huh? Yeah. That's all you need to be. Be happy and let the people be around you happy. And that's where the ajr comes from. Just that? Yes, just that. Because you need that positivity in life. You need that kick in life. Muslims can be happy. We're not the people who sit on these lectures and cry all the time. No. Because we know a Muslim should be happy because he has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who has Allah has everything. So that day, you are forbidden from doing ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibadah. It's forbidden? Yeah. You cannot have siyam in Eid. Why? Because it's a day of eating and enjoying. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be happy in that day. And not only that, but spread the happiness around you. To your family, of course, you're responsible for that. Oh, I'm not the household head. Yeah, but you're responsible. You're responsible to make your dad, your brother, your sister, everybody has to be happy. Imagine, put everybody in front of you right now, in your family, and think, how am I going to make each one of them happy? And you know them, you've lived with them. You know how to make them angry. I'm sure you know how to make them happy. And that happiness should be a ripple effect all around you. Even for the non-Muslims. You should make them happy that day. Because that blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be spread to all His people. And that's why some of the ulama would say, your udhiyah, your qurbani, should be spread around everybody, even your neighbors who are not Muslim. Because that happiness should not stop there. Make them a nice dish, don't make it too spicy and give it to them when they hate it. You know, you have to be tolerant with them. And spread that happiness. And that is the ibadah for the 10th day of the Hajj. Of course, Eid is longer than that, because we have the day of Eid and we have Ayyam al-Tashriq. Ayyam al-Tashriq is 3 days after Eid. And Ayyam al-Tashriq, it's named that way. It's, for the lack of better terms, it's called the days of jerky. Because Tashriq means making jerky. Because that's what they used to do with Udhiyah. Imagine you're in Hajj and you have thousands of people making Udhiyah at the same time. What are you going to do with the meat? So what they used to do is cut them into slices, salt them, and dry them on the stones there. So we have to always follow that advice of Sayyidina Ibrahim. Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. Everything that I do is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything I intend to do in the future, I should plan it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what's the difference between a good deed and a bad deed? Sometimes it's just a need. Working or studying or whatever, it changes by the need. Then all your life, your sleep, your waking up, everything is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is our plan for the whole year, and especially for these 10 days. أقول ما سمعتم وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم اغفر لنا أجمعين والحقنا بالصالحين. توفنا مسلمين، توفنا وأنت راض عنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم أبرم لهذه الأمة أمر رشد، يعز فيه أهل طاعتك ويذل فيه أهل معصيتك، ويؤمر فيه بالمعروف وينهى فيه عن المنكر. اللهم اكفنا أعداءنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اكفناهم بما شئت وكيف شئت يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا في غزة وفي فلسطين وفي كل مكان تعبد فيه يا رب العالمين. اللهم عليك بأعداء المسلمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم احصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا. اللهم عليك بالخونة والعملاء يا رب العالمين. اللهم خذهم أخذ عزيز مقتدر. اللهم ردنا إلى دينك ردا جميلا. اللهم اغفر لنا ولآبائنا ولأمهاتنا ولمشايخنا ولأولادنا، ووفقنا لما تحب وترضى يا رب العالمين. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار، واغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولجميع المسلمين، وأقم الصلاة.